Good afternoon, all. Today we are going to start with our first main grammar concept of Unidad Dos, Lección Uno, and we're going to talk about the verb tener, to have. Okay? Couple things. Tener is an irregular verb, as are all of the verbs that we have done up to this point, which means it doesn't follow a specific pattern. Now, that may not mean a lot to you at this point, but as we get a little bit farther into this chapter, you'll see what I'm talking about a little more clearly with irregular verbs. So, tener is to have, and we'll first start off with conjugation. So, tener, tengo, tienes, tiene, no silent E, tenemos, if I can spell, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. Now, if you'll notice, this fits into our T-chart. Okay? So, tengo, I have. Tienes, you familiar has. Tiene, he, she has, or you formal has. Tenemos, we have. Tenéis, y'all. Tienen, they or you all. If you'll notice, these match up with the subject pronoun chart that we worked on a while back. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. So, one thing I do want to go back to the conjugation, and I want to point out that the tú, ella y usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes forms all have an I in them. Easy way to think about it. If you draw a line, okay, where the I exists is underneath of the steps. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you may remember that he lived under the steps. So I lives under the steps. So tengo, tienes, tiene, no silent E, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. Okay, that is tener. I have, you have, he, she has, we have, y'all have, they or you all have. Now, let's talk a little bit about uses. So, the basic uses of tener, first off, is simply possession. Okay? I have Spanish class at 1:59. Okay, so let's simplify. We'll just make it 2 o'clock. It's a little bit easier with the time. So at 2 p.m. we can get a little practice in telling time as well. So I have tengo Spanish class, la clase de español a race at a las 2 de la tarde. I have Spanish class at 2 in the afternoon. Simple possession, what somebody has. You could say, my friend has a new book. Mi amigo, that would correspond where on the chart. He So mi amigo tiene new book, un libro nuevo. Now, good news about this, we've got the practice with tener. We've also got an indefinite article here. Noun nuevo being an adjective new, nuevo to match with the book. So a little bit of review of last chapter as well. So that is a simple possession. Next, we're going to talk about tener que plus an infinitive. Now, what is an infinitive? An infinitive, a verb that hasn't been changed to match a subject. So all infinitives are going to end in AR, ER, or IR. So, and this is used to have to blank. So, let's say we have to study. Okay, we have, if you want to scroll back up, tenemos, we have. Tenemos que, and to study is estudiar. Now, if you do a word-for-word translation, we have is tenemos. To study is estudiar. This que doesn't have any meaning. It's just kind of a placeholder. It does have to be there, but once again, carries no meaning. So we have to study, tenemos que estudiar. Let's do they, a mixed group, have to eat. They have to eat, and let's throw our time back in there, at a las, oops, I'm going Spanglish on you. They have to eat at noon. So let's see what we remember from time. They, mixed group, would be ellos, have to eat. So ellos tienen que, to eat is comer, at noon. So at what time something happens? A las, noon is 12, so it's plural. A las 12, at 12. Or a little better version, al mediodía. The al is a contraction of a and el, and we use el with mediodía. So, we have to eat at noon. Ellos tienen que comer a las 12. Okay, that takes care of that. And that covers the basics of what we have with tener. You just have to match it up with your subject. A lot of what we're going to be doing in this chapter is talking about school subjects. So you might say, let's do a little practice that's going to be a little more pertinent or deal more with what we're talking about. What time do you have math class? So, what time? At what time does something happen? So we'll start off with a qué hora? At what hour do you have? We're assuming you're talking to a friend about classes. So, tienes, you have math class. la clase de matemáticas. At what hour do you have the class of math? Matemáticas. Oops, accent on the A. Matemáticas. All right, and then to answer, tengo la clase de matemáticas a las 11. We'll just say 11 to keep it simple. Now, what if we want to make an answer negative? So, a qué hora tienes la clase de arte? What time do you have art class? Well, let's say you don't have an art class. So to make something negative, no tengo. The no goes right before the verb. If you're going to put a subject, yo, and that is optional, yo no tengo la clase de arte. So, you've got all the basics and a couple of extras. Now it's time to get some practice on. So, we'll get working on it tomorrow in class. Have a great night.